A couple of weeks ago, I got this fake SM7B for less than $50, but we are going to have a listen to it without any filters, without any processing or anything like that. And we're going to compare it to a couple of other microphones as well. So just a quick heads up, I'm going to go ahead and disable the filters now, and then we'll take a listen. All right, so this is the fake SM7B with no filters whatsoever. For the switches on the back of the microphone, I don't think they really do a whole lot, but I've kind of got them set up so that it's got that little bit of a bass drop off. I've had a listen and I can't really tell much difference with having the switches in different positions, but you may be able to tell. So what do we think? Any good? Now, obviously this being an XLR microphone, it has to be run through an XLR interface. The interface that I am using is a very cheap one that I picked up for like, I don't know, $35 or something like that. It's one from Toner. It's the Toner TX310. I'll link it in the description just in case I've got that wrong. And honestly, the filters that I've got on this are really not much at all. So I do have a little bit of an EQ on here, so I'm just boosting the lows a little bit, but really not much, only by 5 decibels. I've then got a little bit of noise suppression as well, because I do run the air conditioner quite often, so I need something to kind of kick that out. But the noise suppression really isn't needed that much. I do have an expander and a compressor on here as well. Expander 2:1. Compressor 5:1, and then I just have a limiter for when I shout into the microphone, it doesn't blow everybody's eardrums out. And I will say this, sound quality may not actually be that great, but what I was using before was the Akio AK60 USB mic, and we'll have a listen to that in a moment. The biggest thing that I noticed, or the biggest benefit to using this over the AK60, this has now become my like primary microphone, just because it doesn't require anywhere near as much processing to sound okay compared to the AK60. You could get that thing to sound pretty good, but it needed a lot of noise suppression, a lot of compressing and expanding, and it just needed a lot more. Whereas this only requires very, very minimal adjustments. But we're going to have a listen. Right here, what I've got is a Rode Lavalier 2. This is a lav mic, but it's a pretty good sounding one. It should give us a good idea of what to expect. And I'm going to run this thing through the Toner interface as well. All right, so I'm now using the Rode Lavalier 2. This is running through the same interface with the same filters. And I'm holding this thing about the same distance away from my mouth as this microphone right here, the fake SM7B. So you can have a listen and see what that sounds like. I'll go ahead and disable the filters in just a second, and then you can compare the two. So disabling all the filters, this is the Rode Lavalier 2. No filters, just plugging it into the Toner TX310. We're about maybe 25 centimeters away from my mouth, speaking into this thing. I'll just go ahead and switch back to the fake SM7B, and then you can have a listen to that. So again, this is the fake SM7B with no filters, so you can have a listen again and compare the two. And now this is the Akio AK60, again with no filters. So this is the microphone I was using before. So this is just the raw audio input from it with no changes whatsoever. So you can now compare this to the fake SM7B and to the Rode Lavalier 2 as well. Now this is actually the AK60 with the exact same filters that I was using on the SM7B, or the fake SM7B. And as you can tell, it still requires a little bit more. It really does take a lot of processing to make this thing sound great for streaming specifically. You should also bear in mind that I am just speaking directly into this thing. It only takes the sound in from one direction, and kind of like the SM7B as well, it kind of just takes audio straight in from the top, which is why I have it at this angle here, so that it improves like the plosives. But this one, it's really difficult because if I have it at an angle, if I kind of tilt it like this, you'll notice that it starts to change a little bit. Not by much, but I ran into lots of issues with this microphone while streaming. Either the plosives were just terrible, which they probably are in this video right now, or the audio would cut in and out way too much because noise suppression was being cranked way too high, and I just really struggled finding a nice balance for it. So just to wrap up, the fake SM7B was literally just supposed to be an interesting project on the side. It was just a test really more than anything. But actually this microphone paired with the Toner TX310 all in only cost me like $80 for the whole thing. And then I spent maybe like $20 on an XLR cable, and it's now become my primary microphone for two reasons. I just prefer how it works. The toner interface gives me sound pads and voice changes and a couple other things as well. It also gives me gain adjustments for the volumes of everything. Makes it super easy for me to mute my mic without having to set up hotkeys and things like that, and adjust the volume for my game audio and all that kind of stuff. So it just comes with a few extra tricks that are just beneficial, and I just prefer how it works. This microphone, when you disable all the filters and everything, it picks up absolutely everything. In fact, I could probably disable the filters, go in a different room, and you'd still be able to hear me because it just picks up so much audio. But this style microphone, even though it's a fake one, just works much, much better for areas that aren't really a studio environment, so to say. So we're back on the fake SM7B. Again, going to be using this microphone going forward. For the money, honestly, I think it's the absolute best that you can get, especially paired with this cheap mixer as well. There's a handful of them out there. There's also one from Fifine. There's also a couple other cheap mixers, but to be honest, it may actually be worth picking up a much higher quality interface and making sure that you're using high quality cables and everything, and pair them with this mic. And honestly, I think you can have a pretty good setup. And granted, this is nowhere near the quality of an SM7B, a real one. In my previous video, I do take a closer look at it and I kind of show you all the little kind of cheap aspects of it. You know, the obvious places where they've obviously cut cost to be able to sell this thing for $50 and still make a profit. It would be nice to get a real SM7B in the future, so maybe when the channel's grown a little bit more, we may look at investing in something like that. But for now, this thing does a job. And I think the world would be a very different place without AliExpress. So, despite its flaws, it's done pretty well on this occasion. That's all the yapping from me today. I'll catch you in the next one. Ciao.